Whoa, 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 let me make sure I have everything first. Sunglasses check, hat check, Pepsi check, vape check, notes check, thick skin check, and sources check. Man, let's go. Welcome back to Golden Bluted, everybody. If you're a college football fan, you already know what to do. Hit the like and subscribe button because that's all we do here. Golden Bluted is still rolling well past 9,000 subscribers, but we have a goal of 10,000 subscribers by the kickoff of the Backyard Brawl. That is September 1st. I know we can do it, but we can't do it without you hitting the subscribe button. One thing seems very, very clear right now, and that's the Pac-12 Commissioner, George Kliavkoff, is scared of the Big Ten, scared of Kevin Warren and what the Big Ten might do next. They've already gotten UCLA and USC. Now George Kliavkoff is trying to be as friendly as possible to the Big Ten because he's scared the Big Ten is going to come and get more teams. And rightfully so. He should be scared of the Big Ten. So it seems like George Kliavkoff is actually avoiding talking about Kevin Warren and focusing on taking shots on Brett Yormark. First things first though, he's also decided to take shots at UCLA and USC. Here was his response as to how he thinks UCLA and USC are now feeling after they've made that decision to join the Big Ten. He said it's clear that UCLA and USC made their decision on joining the Big Ten based on the short term at the expense of their student athletes. Okay, it's 100% clear to me. It's really unfortunate. I believe that they're already regretting their decision. What? Yeah, George Kliavkoff thinks that UCLA and USC are already regretting their decision joining the Big Ten. I'm sorry. No, that's just not the case at all. To be honest with you, if they were already regretting that, they would be backing out of the Big Ten. They're not part of the Big Ten's TV deal just yet. If they were regretting their decision, they wouldn't be going to the Big Ten. There's still time to back out. They are not regretting that decision at all. Sorry, George Kliavkoff, that is totally incorrect. That is false. They're very happy that they're going to the Big Ten. They're very happy that they're going to be making way more money than they could ever make in the Pac-12. So no, they are not regretting that decision. That doesn't even make any sense. And I get why I said at the expense of the student athletes because of travel, but in the future I do think the Big Ten will get more Pac-12 teams, specifically Oregon and Washington, to help balance out the travel. Now that's still not all that close for USC or UCLA, but at least that's some familiarity for them. And just like anything else, change is awkward, change is weird, it's tough sometimes, but they will eventually adjust. He said given the pushback they've gotten from almost every corner of the communities, I think they will regret it more as time goes on. Yeah, look, any decision like that is going to get pushback. That doesn't mean you're going to regret that decision. That just means you made a big splash. So they're actually getting more attention. In fact, it might actually help UCLA and USC that they're getting a lot of pushback. They have the full attention of a lot of recruits that maybe they didn't have before. So I think it's the opposite of what George Kliavkoff said about that. He goes on to say, I've been trying to focus on what moves the conference forward, and I've been trying to spend as little time as possible responding to the fake news and nonsense that comes out of other conferences in an effort to destabilize us. Now, you just want to ignore facts, and the fact is, other conferences have been talking to your other teams, including the Big 12 and the Big 10. I am 100% positive that Pac-12 teams have been talking to other conferences because the TV deal that's being discussed is not a very good TV deal. He said he had a conversation with Brett Yormark and told him that college athletics are healthier when there's a healthy Pac-12 and a healthy Big 12. Having those CFP, college football playoff votes, is very valuable. It is in the best interest of college athletes if both conferences are strong. So wait a minute. First, you take a shot at the Big 12, but then you have a conversation with Brett Yormark saying it's in the best interest of college athletics if both conferences are strong. Dude, you gotta make up your mind. Quick shout out to 365 Sports. They have amazing content over there. And what they were saying is the two things that we all need to be looking at as far as the Big 12 is concerned, and the Pac-12 and the Big 10 as well, is August 4th. I thought if the Big 12 was going to be adding some teams, the announcement would have come yesterday when Brett Yormark officially took office in the Big 12. Well, August 1st came and August 1st went, and we didn't hear anything. But 365 thinks that if there's going to be an announcement, it's going to be August 4th. I'm not going back on what I said. I don't know if anything's going to happen now because I was under the impression it was going to be August 1st. But another big thing that we need to keep our eyes out on is the Big 10 revenue announcement. That's one thing that's going to be very, very important. And it might give us a hint on if and when they can add more teams from the Pac-12, mainly Washington and Oregon. 365 Sports also confirms that the Big 12 has indeed talked to Pac-12 teams. That has happened. Now, whether those Pac-12 teams actually join the Big 12, that remains to be seen. I thought it was going to happen yesterday. Yesterday came and went, but now I'm hearing August 4th could be a day to look out for. Even if no Pac-12 teams do indeed join the Big 12, the fact remains they have talked to the Big 12. So this shows George Kliavkoff is willing to take shots at Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner, but not willing to take shots at Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the Big 10. Why? Because he's actually scared of the Big 10. He's not scared of the Big 12 as of right now, but he is scared of the Big 10 because the Big 10 has already taken 2 teams, USC and UCLA. He's scared that they could take more teams. So whenever he took shots at the UCLA and USC move, he didn't take shots at the Big 10 or Kevin Warren. He took shots at UCLA and USC. He was very careful as to who he targeted with those comments. Pac-12 is very, very scared about what the Big 10 might do next if they make them mad. George Kliavkoff is putting on the front right now that the Pac-12 is stable. And maybe they are stable. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. But I do know that some Pac-12 teams have talked to the Big 12. So I'm not sure just how stable the Pac-12 is right now. The new TV deal that was announced, if it had equal revenue share, comes out to $21 million per year per team. That is not a lot of money at all. But the uneven revenue share numbers that were released is a little bit more tricky. Washington and Oregon are wanting a 16.5% cut, meaning they would get $44 million a year per team. Cal and Stanford want a 13.5% cut, meaning they would get $33 million a year per team. Then the rest of the teams, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, Oregon State, and Washington State, each would get 6.6% cut, equaling out to $16.1 million per team per year. Would those 6 teams be willing to take a $5 million a year cut just to keep Oregon and Washington satisfied, and also Cal and Stanford? I'm not so sure about that. I mean, $16.1 million a year per team, that's not a lot of money at all. I mean, it's more than any group of 5 conference. So that is terrible money to be in a power conference. There for a while, I thought the Big 12 wanted Utah, and I thought that Utah was interested in the Big 12. Well, the more that I look at things and hear things from other news outlets, I don't think that's the case. Number one, the Big 12 already has the better TV market team in the state of Utah with having BYU. So what would adding Utah actually add to the Big 12? I mean, you would get the Holy War, which that is a decent moneymaker, and Utah is a good brand. You're not really extending your footprint. You're not gaining a state. You're not gaining a brand like an Oregon or a Washington. So the Big 12 might actually be backing off of Utah. They might be having second thoughts. Now, if BYU has any say in this, Utah's not going to make the cut. From what I've heard, BYU resents Utah for Utah getting the invite to the Pac-12, and BYU did not. They felt like they were stabbed in the back by Utah, that Utah did not lobby for BYU. Pac-12 brought in Utah, but left out BYU, and they're still mad about that. So if BYU has any say as to who the Big 12 brings in next, they would prefer Arizona, Arizona State, and Colorado, definitely Washington and Oregon, maybe even Cal and Stanford later, but they do not want Utah. So if they have any say, they will try their hardest to keep Utah out. And if that's the case, if the Big 12 is taken off the board for Utah, that's not a good situation because the Pac-12 would be the only spot that would be open for Utah because they're not going to the Big 10. I've heard that the ACC could be interested, but that wouldn't really make much sense, and they're definitely not going to the SEC. So their biggest option would have been going to the Big 12. If that's off the table, they might be screwed. If the Pac-12 goes under, Utah may have to head back to the Mountain West. Yikes. So y'all let me know in the comments section, do you think that George Kliavkoff is indeed scared of the Big 10 and Kevin Warren and is playing cat and mouse with Brett Yormark of the Big 12? And do you think that the future of Utah might be screwed because of BYU being in the Big 12? That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.